So inini relationship young is a very interesting one. Na babamkuru. Babamkuru, we met at the university. Pane picture yedu tiri vatatu with my sister na babamkuru vakati bati inogara ichitaswa nevana. So we go back there. Pamuchato. Ndoziva kuti zuva rakaoma, haufaniri kutaura zvese zvese. Asisi vangu kutamba havagoni. Saka pamuchato ndini ndaitoita masteps nababamukuru. Tichifamba chaizvo. And really and truly, when the children talk about babamkuru to me, vanoti your BFF, your best friend forever. That's what they call it. So it's always your BFF said. Chero vachida kucomplaina, your BFF said. That's babamkuru. Let me start by talking about babamkuru as a husband. Very interesting husband, I can say that. Very loving, very caring, and very protective of my sister. He really protected her. He really shielded her from anything that he thought might be a threat. He loved pataronya yesadza, babamkuru vaida sadza. But vaizofti kuti mainini vanodawo zvechirungu. And I remember, because when I came back from school some time ago, this was home. So I stayed here. Zvikanzi mainini, moda kuenda kupi? Pano ndopamba. And it was just so beautiful. Yesterday, shamwari yangu yakati, okay, ndibabamkuru, but you were like his first daughter. I was also like his child. So that's how we related. And I remember when I said, no, Bamkuru, I think I need to move out. Taganetsan, modakwenda kupi maini. And he would come in the morning and knock ndakara. Maini, magati modakwenda, pane chanda shaisha ere maini. Ndinogadzirisa maini. That's how it was with babamkuru. Come back to the issue of sadza. Ndiri panapa. Chikanzi maini ndokuendesa breakfast. Ndikati ndasi zvaita. Vachingopedza ipapo. Matanya, ndikapo sadza ndiendese maini kubreakfast. Saka rakatangira pasadza. Talking about his relation, his sense of humor. Tete pavataura. Pane pavakati tete zvikanzi ndimireyo kamundipe lift ndikaingopedza kudya zvikanzi tete negomo ramangatarisana iroreyo tinosumuka rini. That was babamkuru. So speaking about babamkuru as a father, very proud of his beautiful children. And for me, it was always ana yenyu mainini. Ndikangoti mainini moda kuti ndidi ana yenyu. So almost as if he knew that this day would come. I could be here all day. Let me just touch on a few issues. Babamkuru, as a professional, we had a very professional relationship na babamkuru. We talked business. We used to encourage each other. Tichitsiurana. Zvamunini mainini nekutaurisa kwenyu. Musanodaro meeting. Lodaiwa babamkuru ndingotaura tiri two. So he encouraged me, vainditsiurawo, until we got to where we are. Kubasa kwavo, we used to discuss. And I remember the day he was going for his meeting for confirmation of his appointment as general manager. He told me, he said, Maini, this is it. I said, okay, I'll be waiting for the call. Tell me how it goes. And then the phone rang. And he goes, my nini, my nini. And I knew it was good news. I was the first to know. That was our relationship. So there are so many facets to Baba Mkuru. Let me just maybe say Baba Mkuru had very good taste. Vaida zvinonaka. Saka I remember nakambo uya nema chocolate vakanakirwa. Vakaisa musoro paside vachidya. And Tanya had been at school in England. Adzoka. Zvikanzi Tanya, pawayoko ayoyoko erai. Kutoti asi mwana wangu shuwa ungarega undigirawo zvinonaka kudai. Baba Mkuru vaida zvinonaka. Zvonzi, mai Tanya, pamakaenda kuEngland, anga asiko erai. Mai Tanya, kana usingada kumunditengera, unazvitengerawo iwewe ungonakira. That was Baba Mkuru. Coming to Baba Mkuru and his taste. You know, when I saw Baba Mkuru in hospital, and I have pictures that I took moments after he passed that I will treasure forever. He looked like he was just sleeping. And I stood and I looked and I hoped Kuti you just open his eyes and say, Monodaronge maini. But it is not to be. So when I came to the realization that it is done, it is God's will, I said the only thing I can do is to give him a fitting send-off. And yes, ndingamanga nchimboona ndichingomhanya nchingosika nhasi chai ndichingoti ndasimuka ndagara. Mama akatoti uya akazhangandira uya akadi ngaadzikame. No, I needed to do this for Baba Mkuru because he was a great man. He loved good things. Whenever I traveled, if I didn't buy anything else, ndaiuya nesheti yaBaba Mkuru. And vainetsana namaitanya manje wozopfeka special occasion ndipe sheti yangu ya mainini. Mainini, maitanya yangu ndinyima sheti here. That's how it was, and it was a priority for me. So in that light, I said, no, this send-off has got to be the best. And I say this because I also want to acknowledge good people. I think Maona Pabuda Baba Mkuru Mumba, even when we came yesterday, varume vangu vakapfeka masutu vakatakura box. Nhasi mavaona and vachiri pano ndo vari kutakura box raBaba Mkuru, men in suit, tinozvona chichwa ma-president. But I needed to do that for Baba Mkuru. It is not a disrespect to anybody, but it is what I owe Baba Mkuru. And in that light, let me not take all the credit. I engaged my colleagues, Kunyaradzo, because you know what? You are running the funeral, yeah, Mr. Garu. But, Mabel, Baba Mkuru vangu. And she said, oh, I didn't know. But yes, and this is very difficult for me. I was driving. So she said, Susan, what do you want us to do? I said, Mabel, I just want the best for Baba Mkuru. And then she paused and she said, for you, I'm going to make this an executive burial. And that's what I wanted for Baba Mkuru. So I want to acknowledge Philip Mataranyika, very good colleague of mine. He also gave my father 4 months ago an executive burial. And I needed to do it because Baba Mkuru, I kept on hearing him say, Mainin, so I said, no, I've got to do this. But let me thank Madam Mabel Chidakwa. She could not be here with us today. And she said, Susan, I will do it for you, but I'm sorry, I cannot be there. But then the Reverend, the CG Kampira, he was not supposed to be working this weekend. When I phoned him and I told him, he said, okay, what time are you collecting Baba Mkuru? I said 4 o'clock tomorrow. And he thought, and then he says, no, 4 o'clock I can be there. And he says, when are you burying him? I said, Sunday. And he said, Sunday I've got a commitment. And I said, I'm not even sure what I said because my heart sank. And then he said, but no, Tunona Mangwan at 4 o'clock. We went yesterday. And he was there. And as you can see, he sacrificed his other commitment to be here for us today, to be here for Baba Mkuru. So I know I've taken a lot of time, but my relationship with Baba Mkuru requires just that. Baba Mkuru, yes, I will do everything that I taurirana tiri tu. Things that I did not need to say to my sister, but I will honor everything, Baba Mkuru. Please, just rest in peace. I will take care of the children like I once did. I will take care of my sister. Go well, Baba Mkuru. I will always love you. You will always be in my heart, Baba Mkuru. Not a day goes by that I don't say, Munadaronge. And that is never going to change. I will always love you.
Pamsoroi Chaplain General, Pamsoroi Padawan, Reverend Tanuma Grantu. And Ufunga Panisha Mandwa Jese, Mawana out, I'm not a jealous woman. I shared my husband with a lot of people. I shared my husband with the mega big family. Vai kudai. And Panongo Taurwa Zita, Pamamchi Pando introduced one. Do not remember what we invite our chinese Jackie. Nagada without umbuita jealousy because my husband spent Ruaya Kawanda by name Pamekumeka baby. Ndikada kutenda and ndinongenda nditende but pane vamwe vasingaite kuti ndisataure. Toda kutaura tete mesi ndo tete ndanga ndisingas andifonera navo even pandakavafonera vakati maitanya kwakanaka here. I said tete hakuna because no times andinovatsvaga kana zvaipa kana zvichindifambira kana zvangu but tete will not question kuti ko zvaita sei and vanotimira ndiuye ndichero ndikati tete hanzvadzi yenyu yakadhakwa hasi uya naye padriver uye naye ende yaita sopa kana papa natete and I would create zvinhu kuti ndataurira tete ameno zvavo. I don't know whether kuti relationship yavo kuti yanga brother hanzvadzi kana chii because murume wangu at times would be too generous. Saka drivona unzi tete chema ndoda unobvisa 200 donzi mukoma zvaita se endesai $20 indobva ndati kuti tete yainge yatobuka saka ndiri kurwadziwa chino. My husband had a good sense of humor. Ndofunga taiseka chero vana vaitonzwa vaitoseka chikwete kuti chero vakomana vangachichaya kunze kuno. It was his good sense of humor and I met him through that good sense of humor. And I think zvese I owe it kuna Mbuya Mutsekwa because Mbuya Mutsekwa's first daughter Helen was my roommate kuUZ. So you'd come kanasha Helen otanga unditaurira nyambo dzake and he was the last person I thought I would go out with. Kana even Helen wachona It surprised him. We kept it a secret kuti tiri kudanana because Helen was so close to me and he didn't think kuti his brother was good enough. And ndokuti I was not a jealous woman. Tete Helen I don't know what relationship they were always together. I remember the other day going to Manfred Hudson. I taura nevanhu vese nemagadzi. So the guard came to me. The guard knew that I was his girlfriend. But munenge mune munhu. And that was Helen because they were always together. The other thing is anga asingatsamu. Ipapapa, I'm happy kuti chiropa akaenda anga asingatsamu. I thought in the morning ndikamuka ndakatsamu, I thought maitanya pane chandakashaisha here, ndakapinda ndakadhakwa here. But no, we never, kana zvokunzi kune vanhu vanomudhura zviya zviya, it was never about him. I'll miss my husband. We had so many plans. And I show interest, I will expand. I've realized your passion, my Tanya. And Angari Jake marketing director, marketing manager who made a big. He was also my marketing manager. And Shamari Zake vanababa mnini vangu vakawanda. Vamwe vacho I don't know. Vamude kunye muripo here. Ndo vamwangari baba mnini vangu vasinganyanya kutaura zvavo neni, but yeah, he had so many friends. Ndongoti oshamwari dzemurume wangu I'm there. And chinhu chandiri proud of, chandoda kuzvitenda ndega, ndechekuti I was with my husband until the last. It's only now I've realized kuti pandaimubata he was dying. It's only now, and I'm so happy that I was with him to the last. Go in peace, Baba Tanya. Ndinokuda ende ndichakuda kusvika ameno. Ndinokutenda nevana vakandi. Zorora hako murume wangu.
Good morning. I wasn't quite sure what to say. I'm a little person and Daddy was a big person. We were contradicting people. And I never remember being afraid of him when he was much bigger than me, even when I was little. He just had that presence about him. Daddy was married to my guru. And not once did he ever say, Jinibam Guru. He allowed me to call him Daddy because to him I was his child, just like Tanya, just like Davis. And he was my dad, just as my dad was my dad. I have so many stories in this house because I lived here. This was home. And he made me always feel like it was home. I remember Tanya and I saw Crocs for the very first time. And a couple of days later, Daddy came back with matching pairs of pink Crocs so that we could match because we liked them. Or when we were kids, we used to like eating ice cream. Daddy would leave money on the fridge so we could go and buy boxes of ice cream for the week. So we didn't bother him every morning asking for money or ice cream. So I essentially just want to say, Tanya, I'm really sorry. Davis, I'm sorry. Mama, I'm so sorry. I want to say thank you so much for giving me a home where there was a mother and a father. And we could all see what love looked like, what a good marriage looked like, what good parents look like. And Daddy, thank you for always knowing I wasn't the best with phone calls, but you always knew what was going on in my life. You always went the extra mile, and I will always thank you for that. We're gonna get through this. I don't know how, but we will.
Even though I knew it was inevitable that this time was going to come, but I never imagined it would ever come, truly. I never wanted to ever lose my father. My father was my role model. He was the one person I knew I could always count on to be honest with me. He cared about me and loved all of his children genuinely. And he was always there for us. He did things which most people wouldn't fault a good father for not doing for his children, but he went the extra mile for us. He was always there when we needed him, to provide mentorship, guidance, and resources. I remember that growing up, we always had that relationship, like where it's father and son, and you don't necessarily communicate past those parameters of father and son. But when I started learning at Harare Polytechnic, I started going to work with my father, going to school with my father every day. And for the first time, that's when I got to know the real him outside of being my father, the real man himself. And what he showed me during that time, which I'm now seeing as more of a mentorship class than anything else, he taught me real principles and real values of being a man. He taught me what you're supposed to be and what you should stand for, and that you should always stand for something. And you should always be on guard when it comes to your principles, because there will be always traps out there. That's something he taught me. And it's something that I carry with me every single day, no matter what I do. My father always expected more from me than I was showing at any moment. Even if I was to say I got good news, the next day it's him. The first day he'll acknowledge it and say congratulations, well done. But the next day it's always like, okay, but this is what you have to change. First time I was on radio is a perfect example. He listened to the whole 3 hours. He told me, well done, you did well. Went to sleep. Next morning, we had the car going back to work. He goes like, do you ever write anything down? Like, seriously? Do you even... So it was just him always pushing me to be better. Because every time you'd always say that, no matter what I'm doing, you'd always say that, I see you as better than this. And that's because of that self-confidence he instilled in me, which is probably one of the biggest things he has ever given me. It's like, he would always say to me that, one day you're going to be in CNN, with a straight face, confident. And I know his confidence never wavered in me. And Dad, now I owe it to you, to make sure that I make it and become the man you always wanted me to be. I promise you, Dad, I'm going to make you proud. And I'm going to take care of Mama, Dad. And I'm going to take care of Mama, Tanya, and Natasha. I love you so much, Dad. Thank you.
Good morning. There's just so much to say about our father. I never imagined that this day would come. On the 7th of June, I lost my grandfather, but I had my father to be there to fill in that void. Then on the 7th of October, he left me. I remember Davis, I can't phone him. You can't tell Auntie Sue that I'm calling you Obama. But we died in the ambulance. But what's happening? I don't know. I think he just had a seizure, but he's talking.
remember I was very unsettled, and I was calling and texting for updates. These updates were very positive at first. And then I fell into a deep sleep. Then I tried calling Davis. He wasn't picking up. That's when I'm like, Mama. Auntie Susan answered. But I sensed it. I wasn't told, I sensed it. But all I want to say is, I thank God for those years that I had with my father. Our phone calls became video calls when I was now in school, and used to call all the time. Every morning, my 6 o'clock, but it would be 4 o'clock my end. Ndutaura now in my sleep. Nduti mama varipi? Zvonzwa kuda enda unojoga. Because mama would tell me, you can't usamutse makusensen. Saka he always used to say ndoka singadoti nditaure newe. Because I didn't put anything in writing because I just couldn't. That's why I'm just waffling. But there are so many great memories we shared. And Saturdays, I knew it was Tanyara's 1 week in Posat. I think Mama was so happy with Indao week. Because it was now my responsibility. But I want to say, Debbie, rest well. Mama, Davis will be fine. We've got Auntie Susan, Uncle, Uncle Donald, Auntie Lillian will be fine. Otherwise, I could have gone. And so now, I don't understand why, but at the end of the day, it was his will.
Toranguwa ekuti wape ataure nhuna dzese. Tinoda kutenda zvikuru nekushinga Madam Joyce, kushinga kutaura Madam Susan and the children. Thank you very much. Ndozoda rufu ndakupota uchimbota kuoneka chirungu kwetondole pamusoro yechirando. Unoziva kana ukachema, unoziva kuchema kwedu kwechivanhu. Inaponga uchinopa chitaura chirungu wechichema, hange ari kuchema sizoti chirungu chiri kukunda asi kuchemera muchirungu. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Right, takuya kuna sawira wao atichare besiba. Then after the sawira, work representative will make a pack. Auye kuzotipa mashoko ake. Then work representative name pack. The Mr. Dangarembizi. Muripo ya Mr. Dangarembizi. Oh yes, you got Rupisi Samun Kurunes was say, oh my. Mr. Dangarembizi, just come and find somewhere to sit here. Here kuno Dayari anti-Messi Shakaru Kuchandi Mkoma Rutira Mkoma. Right, the guy Dikumbiri, Sawira wa Antilinki Ndiani. Aita Sawira ngoli pachinda wati nyani zvedu kusensa masawira. Takazozvona kuno mashona kuno tafara kuti hapana ngati kumbirei work representative weku Megapek yana kutaura akamira yes you can come through oh yes akutaura zvese right thank you Mr. Dangarembisi ngati waombere mako right Mr. Dangarembisi wasati wataura regai uye mugare panapa Mr. Dangarembisi totombokumbira timboimba tanyanye kunyarara kana handizveri timboimba imba itoni imba iwasikana ikoko kusina mitoro ikoko Thank you very much, everyone. Mururuto. Yes. Dr. Mshiri, are you here? Dr. Mshiri, wasika ere kana varipo. Ngafara. Dr. Mshiri. All right. Nofunga. Kana wasika mondisondiudzawo. Tipei mukana wekugashira Mr. Dangarembisi vakamirira maboka mairi aya Megapek Nempek zvese. Thank you Mr. Dangarembisi, we appreciate you. Muri chiwaye maringa inzoyo
maita basa Reverend pamusoroi amane shamwari mauya pano kuzotikuta nekuperekedza shamwari yedu Licon. Ndisati ndatanga kutaura ndakamirira Megapek or Nampak. Ndoda kutanga ndataura ndakazvimirira inini relationship yangu na Licon. Licon ndakatanga kushanda naye 2015 pandakaenda kunohedha Megapek. Takabva tangoita this connection yekuti takaita vanhu vakagara vachizivana. So we had a very good working relationship, and zvinhu zvakawanda zvataurwa about Licon's character. It was contagious. Licon munhu wekuti aiti munhu akaita problem, he would actually shoulder that problem. He would take that problem personally, even siri zvebasa. Zvekuti waita problem passport office. I remember the other time we were trying to help a colleague. Akati Mr. Dangarembisi kwa office yandianopinda yandibude kusvika ndibatsira. And akaenda passport office akanogara ivo makataurira mumbe wangu varimo kuti kuti zvitokuitirai panze pane queue chitondisevha indiende because mukandisevha makutobatsira vamwe nesi vari panze apo and passport yakabuda. Kati ko munhu wanga wachimuziva here? Ndikazi handimuzive, but ukasvika ukataura nemunhu ukamusmailira zvinofamba. That was Licon for you. He would carry my burdens evamwe vanhu vese oaita ake. So 2015, I think for me, Licon became the trusted lieutenant for me as the head of Megapek. So all my travels in the region, overseas, ndaifamba na Licon. Because already I could also see that this was a potential person who could actually take over the organization. So pakazosvika time yekuti I was moving on into another role, it was very easy for Licon to take over. Chirunya kundirwadza ndechekuti October is exactly 6 months after Licon took over as the head of Megapec. And for the past week, tanga tichitaura almost every day, because yeye ndiyedu yanga iri 30 September. Achiti, Wellington, you left a sound business for me and I took over and the business has done well for the year. On Wednesday, I last spoke to my 8 Manero. We were supposed to have had lunch on Friday. And this lunch was to celebrate the success of Megapec for the year. And I remember I was in Marondera on Wednesday and he called me when I was driving back to Harare. Akanditi wade kupfura neku office kwako chanwa coffee. I have a bit tired, but since you go on Friday, let's just wait for Friday. He called 3 times. And I resisted. I'm tired. Friday is just a day after tomorrow. We can enjoy our lunch on Friday. So pandakazofonerwa early hours of the morning kuti Licon is passed on. Even my wife was in shock because by that time I had my 8 Manero. Ndakagara nemudzimai wangu, nemudzimai wangu munhu aiziva. The first thing I thought of was quite an accident, but pandachitaura naye anga achitari kumba. So, it was so confusing. But we have to accept. Tinoenda nenzira dzakasiyana. Licon ran his race, and the race has come to an end. From a Nampec Zimbabwe perspective, Nampec Zimbabwe is the holding company which owns Megapec. We have lost a potential leader within the group, and filling his shoes is going to be very difficult for us. Kumuri Licon Garwi anatezwa rekomtangadura. Ndoda ngoti Mwari ngaakusimbisei taraskirwa tese. For me personally, Licon was a friend, a brother, a confidant. So even up to now, I'm still asking myself, is this real? Because ndine zvinhu zvandaita kachida advice ndaimufondera Licon. Ndomti mukoma, yes, I might be a boss, but uri mukoma wangu. In life, positions at times are not important, but advice and relationships are very important. So tarasikirwa iswe Nampec. Maybe the takeaways from Licon is that the word of God says the second best commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself. Licon lived that. Munhu wekuti he would look at the next person before he looked at himself. So kwandangoti ndo chidzidzo chandoda kuti tifambe nacho hama dzangu. The word of God also says, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we are meant to rejoice and be glad in it. Zvadatapiwa naMwari iroro. Let's make the best out of it. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Saka ngatidzidzei kuti hazvina zvazvinotibatsira kuti tishushane tichivengana nekuti Mwari ndiye anotara mazuva edu. Zuva rega rega raatipa ngatirigamuchire. And we must ask ourselves at the end of the day, what have I done to help the next person? Because that was Licon for you. He was so passionate about helping the next person. He was not selfish. Nemashoko mashomanana waya ndrokoti Mwari ngaatisimbise maita inofundisa.
Thank you, Maringa. Ndanda kuda kuchema mazwenya ndedzamira ekuti maona zuva ranhasi rishandisei zvakanaka, kana kushandisa zuva uchindopopotera vanhu vechidada vechidini